Project Workbench.
This is a good example of the type of tests that I've been running on different fabrics and adhesives. What I've done here is used 4 different glues on 2 different kinds of materials. So you can see I've got one piece of latex and one piece of urethane. And in this case, the one with the off-the-shelf rubber cement, you can see the latex started bubbling, so that's no good. And also, if you look on the back of this, it leaked through. So like I can rule out rubber cement. This one was actually super messy, and it also didn't stick real well. Liquid nails so far is actually looking pretty promising. It seems to be holding pretty well. Didn't leak through, and it didn't distort the material, unlike E6000. You can't really tell, but it kind of made this curl up, and it's also pretty rigid. Like it, when the stuff cures, it's rigid, but it didn't leak through. So that's the kind of stuff I'm dealing with on a regular basis, just trying to figure out the best way to adhere the outer shell to the fabric. And I'm not really committed to any particular outer shell because both urethane and latex I think will work. Speaking of which, here's a very dusty corner of the workshop where you can see the cape mold. Most of that is latex, which I wisely brushed into the mold before I boxed it up in that thing for transport, which preserved the silicone, kept it from getting like damaged by any of the packaging. But a lot of latex on there, and I've also got a little corner where I'm doing some urethane experiments. And what I'm really experimenting with is seeing how much opacity I can get out of it and how thin it needs to be. So right now, this part right here is 3 different applications of Vitaflex 40, pigmented with a combination of Silpac CU pigments and Douglas and Sturgis urethane pigments. Still experimenting, trying to get the color right. I actually really like this color, don't really like that color, but this is actually pretty cool. I'm really happy with that. And as you can see, what I use as my metric is my silicone. It's actually 2 different colors. I used a thixotropic agent on the edge to make sure it didn't leak under, and it colored the silicone a little bit orange, and the rest was just blue that I poured on. So it gives me a color differentiation, and if you look at this, you cannot see those colors through the urethane. What that says to me is that it's thick enough that it's completely opaque, which is what I want. So as soon as that cures, I'm going to peel it up and see how it feels, see how flexible it is, see what the hand is like on that, and I will also experiment adhering that to fabric. Actually, I'm pretty happy with the texture on the back of this. It does have a little bit of a texture to it, but it is much milder than the type of texture I was getting off of my mermaid scale tests because I was brushing that on very thick with my roller. And also just the shape of it, it was much deeper crevasses, whereas these little diamonds are very shallow, so it allows me to get a very smooth surface, smoother. And this is going to be the last little piece of testing I do for the day because I'm kind of tired out. What you're looking at here over on the right are 2 different tests using brushed on latex rubber. Just for reference, this is the type of latex I'm using with all my tests, and I think I need some new stuff because this has probably gone bad. The only reason you don't see any here is because it's already dry, but it used to look like this. This was sort of a thinner brush on of latex, and this was a thicker one. Honestly, I don't know how well that latex is going to bond because this red stuff's been there for like, well, 2 years. So I don't know if that's going to bond at all, but still it'd be a good test. And as you'll notice, from the fabric, there has been no bleed through, even on the thicker brush on. None of the latex bled through. It didn't leave like a wet spot or anything. So I'm pretty happy with that. And for record, this test is in lieu of an external adhesive. So here is just more latex instead of one of those adhesives I was testing earlier. And what you see over here, this mold is actually sitting on top of 2 pieces of fabric, which I've laid down, similar to what I'm doing over here. But over here, I did urethane. I rolled on urethane under this part. It was a lighter coat, and over here a heavier coat. And I just put this down because the urethane doesn't really offer any kind of adhesion or immediate adhesion like latex does. So over here, the weight will just keep it down and make sure that it sticks as best as it can. So that'll come up in about 12 hours, and we'll see how that did. But this looks kind of good. I'm kind of happy with that.